shit, it's been 10 minutes. All right, let's get things started. Hello, welcome back to Lacedaemon's Corner, episode 16 of the broadcast. And then, I had an interesting night tonight. Hopefully that music played. If it didn't, I apologize. But, so earlier in the day, I went Christmas shopping with my brother. You know, we got some Christmas presents for our mom. And we're giving some Buffalo Wild Wings. And apparently there were two people who had the same... There's two of us that had the same first name as me. Me and someone else. And, they gave me the wrong person's food. I didn't notice for half an hour. I didn't open anything because I was busy doing other stuff. I called... And he said, "Oh," and I could tell the manager felt so terrible on the other line. Initially, I was very pissed off. I swore a bunch. I was pretty fucking pissed. But the good news is the other guy got a whole fresh thing of food made for him, and I got to keep his original food plus get my other food that I had ordered as well. So in the end, it all worked out. The other guy probably got a refund, and some more fresh food. And I got 2 orders of wings for the price of 1. So me and my whole family ate pretty good tonight. So yeah, that was how my day was going. I also went to breakfast with one of my friends today, which is pretty cool. But as seen from the title of today's episode, we're going to be talking about some interesting stuff, all while playing some Dueling Nexus. It's my second stream on the new computer, and I tested out Dueling Nexus on the new computer before I went live. And sorry, I literally just finished eating like about a minute ago. So anyway, Dueling Nexus works great on the new computer. It's excellent. It runs so much faster than it did on the old computer. This new computer is great because it allows me to do so many things that I normally could not do because an old computer would be just too slow to do it. Just do it in a timely fashion that would not make me want to just throw shit. And not literally throw shit, but, get mad because it's taking too long, So, let's get right into the news, I guess. So, obviously, Trump may be getting us in the war in Venezuela. Although he seems to not really do anything about it. It's like we all thought that he was gonna take us in the war of Venezuela during that announcement where he instead gave everyone in the military a check for $1776 instead. We were all so sure that he was gonna announce, hey, okay, America is gonna be invading Venezuela. All right, it's gonna be the great invasion, the best invasion ever. We all thought it was gonna be that. But instead, it was some other nonsense. Thankfully, it wasn't world-shattering nonsense like Venezuela would be, but whatever. So we all thought that was going to happen a couple days ago. Fuck, I can't remember what day it was, because this week's been tiring for me because it's the last week before, Christmas break begins, so school's been very busy. Which I haven't been as active as I should have been this week. I was planning to do a stream at some point in the middle of the week and then do another stream in the weekend. As you can see from the episode title, episode number, it didn't exactly happen, unfortunately. That said, I am going to keep streaming more often as I promise. I'm on my Patreon, so, keep up with that, I guess. So, in regards to the Venezuela stuff, this is my own personal opinions about it. I hate Nicolas Maduro. I despise Nicolas Maduro. And I feel like he should not be president of Venezuela. And in my opinion, if you ask me, he lost in 2024, and he's only in office because of voter fraud and election fraud, actual election fraud, not the 2020 stuff, actual election fraud in Venezuela. So if we do go to war, am I gonna feel bad for Maduro and anyone who support and his cronies and whatnot? Fuck no, I'm not gonna feel bad for them at all. They're gonna get what's coming to them. But I'm going to feel terrible for the people of Venezuela who are going to be thrown into this giant mess. And, look, I'm conflicted, okay? I don't want us to get bogged down in another foreign entanglement, especially with a guy like Trump at the helm. I think if we're gonna get bogged down in a foreign entanglement, it should not be under Trump, because I feel like he's not gonna. It's not. It's how do I put it? He's an idiot. All right, he's an idiot. It's been established for God knows for 9 years at this point, if not longer, that he's a moron. He's a complete moron. And I feel like if he was the guy in charge in Iraq and whatnot, Iraq would be in a much worse state, which is saying something, given what happened to Iraq after the invasion. The second invasion, not the first. I'll defend the first Gulf War any day. The fuck Saddam Hussein and his invasion of Kuwait, but I cannot defend the second Iraq War. Although it's a good thing Saddam Hussein's gone, but I just cannot defend the way it happened. So, like I said with Venezuela, I don't feel bad for Maduro, but I am going to feel bad for a lot of people that are going to be caught in the crossfire if we do go to war with them. All I will say is Maduro's not going to have a lot of international support. And people are wondering, hey, why is no one in the Caribbean supporting this? Well, Maduro effectively pissed away any international support he had from his neighbors by trying to claim over 2/3 of Guyana next door. He tried to claim the Esquimbo region, which is essentially 2/3 of the entire country of Guyana. And worse, tried to claim almost all their territorial waters, just so Venezuela can have access to a massive oil field that Guyana has been developing recently. Guyana has been managing to exploit this oil field for the first time ever last couple of years, and Venezuela is not happy about that because Venezuela is broke. I should say Maduro is not happy about that because Venezuela is broke because of Maduro. And so that's why last year, Venezuela made a big thing. They're going to potentially invade Guyana, which, listen, if Venezuela invades Guyana, then any opposition I have towards the war of Venezuela would go away immediately. But right now, Venezuela is not doing that, which is why I cannot in good faith fully support a war with Venezuela. And that said, I don't like the people that are coming out here and defending Maduro, or saying that Maduro is a champion against American imperialism. He's not a champion against imperialism. He gladly supports Russian and Chinese imperialism, especially Russian imperialism. Despite the fact that Russia's not going to come to Venezuela's defense anytime soon, because Russia can barely fight a war against one of its neighbors, let alone a continent and a half away. All right. So Russia's not going to help Venezuela out. China's not going to help Venezuela out. And the other thing is, China doesn't want to risk getting into an armed conflict with the U.S. because their economy still depends too much on exporting to America and countries that are allied to the U.S. And China knows that any armed conflict with the U.S., besides the obvious nuclear implications, would be terrible for their economy, because a lot of their Western customers for their economy would very quickly stop buying from China. They've seen what happened to Russia's economy when Russia first annexed Crimea, instigated the war in the Donbass, and then outright invaded Ukraine. They saw that Russia's economy went down the fucking toilet. And the last thing they want is for that to happen to them, especially with China's impending demographic issues that are going to be coming up in the next couple of decades due to their stupid one-child policy. Potentially, if you had more than one child, you were taxed more. And this caused issues because in traditional Chinese society, families preferred sons over daughters, and if you only have one child, they would prefer to have a son rather than a daughter. And this has led to issues where China has more men than women, which is really, really, really bad for demographics. Now, most countries actually have slightly more women than men, but China's the opposite, which, like I said, is really, really bad for demographics. China is about to experience a massive population crash in the next couple of decades as a result of this, believe it or not. India is either about to overtake them or has just overtaken them as the most populous country in the world. And unlike China, India never had a one-child policy. In fact, India's birth rate is much higher than China's, although it is going down significantly. It'll probably be around Western levels in the next like decade or two, in my opinion. And it's already way down in the urban and developed areas, but in the rural areas it's still pretty high. So India is going to overtake China's most populated country in the next couple of years, most likely, if they haven't done so already. And China's population is going to keep going down because these demographic issues, because of the fact they have more men than women. More women than men with is not a problem, but more men and women is a huge problem. And when that happens, their economy is going to suffer as a result. And the Chinese government knows this, which is why even though they talk a big game, they don't really want a war with the West. They talk a big game about invading Taiwan, but in my opinion, they know that a war with Taiwan would be effectively suicide. It'd be a kamikaze. At least, hopefully, it'd be a kamikaze. I guess it's just like, how do I put it? My bad. I was just looking at something I found on my computer desk. Anyway, so the thing is, a war with Taiwan would fuck up the entire semiconductor industry because the TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, which is the world's largest manufacturer of semiconductors, is obviously, as the name suggests, based out of Taiwan, and most of their manufacturing capability is in Taiwan, although they're trying to expand to the U.S. for the purpose of security reasons, and also just to expand their capacity in general. And if Taiwan gets invaded, those Taiwanese facilities are not going to be operational, to say the least. They might be destroyed. And a lot of countries are going to be very pissed off at that because a lot of countries rely on Taiwanese semiconductors. And, well, honestly, the West is especially going to be very pissed off. An invasion of Taiwan would probably you'd easily get Japan and even South Korea to intervene at that point. It would be chaos. And China knows that even though they may possibly take Taiwan in an invasion, the blowback would make it not worth it. The blowback would just simply not be worth it due to the impact it would have on the global economy, especially their economy. Not to mention the obvious nuclear implications of that. But going back to Venezuela, I got a little sidetracked there. So going back to Venezuela, like I said, I'm conflicted. I don't want us getting bogged down in a massive foreign entanglement for the next decade or two, like we did with Iraq and Afghanistan. I mean, that said, obviously, I know Venezuela is not like them. I don't think any hypothetical occupation of Venezuela would be as bad as Iraq, but there'd still be issues because like the cartels, maybe not so much like Chavez loyalists, not so much Maduro loyalists. Because the thing is, Nicolas Maduro, I mean, he has a cold personality a little bit, but he mostly just inherited from Hugo Chavez, who actually was popular with Venezuelans to an extent. And over the last decade approximately that he's been in charge, Maduro has essentially pissed away a lot of the goodwill that Chavez had built among the Venezuelan people. He effectively crashed the economy that Chavez built. Although, to be fair, the model that Chavez built was unsustainable. It was going to be unsustainable. It was going to crash at some point. But Maduro made it so much worse and so much faster. And that's why you see a lot more Venezuelans, both inside and outside the country, openly expressing their discontent with Maduro as opposed to people doing it with Chavez. There are always Venezuelans who didn't like Chavez either, but there's a lot more who don't like Maduro. And what annoys me are some of the people on the left, usually the far left, who try to speak over Venezuelans who don't like Maduro and try to defend Maduro. And these people are annoying. And it's just, they're speaking over people who actually had to live under Maduro and don't like him. and oftentimes give valid reasons for not liking him. And I hate to see that shit. I'm sick and tired of these fucking people, who have no experience. They have no experience of living in Venezuela. They probably don't know anyone personally that's from Venezuela, talking as if they have authority on this, because they don't. They don't have authority on this at all. And I hope that what I said should be common sense, but unfortunately, common sense is lacking on the internet, and that's going to lead to our next topic, which is about content moderation, or the lack thereof, on certain social media sites. Now, we all know that Instagram Reels is fucking terrible. Like, you scroll for, like, maybe a couple minutes, and you'll find some really horrible shit on fucking Instagram Reels, dude. Plenty of, like, racist shit. There's this one Instagram Reel I saw of, some guy debating Charlie Kirk who insinuated that Israel's behind 9/11. The Jews did kicked out 109 countries. The Jews are he's saying that the Jews are just the Jews are everything wrong with the world, and it's just it got shared a couple million times. There's tons of likes, tons of comments supporting it. Not a lot of pushback in that comment section, which is concerning, very fucking concerning. And it's spreading amongst the young people. And it's extremely dangerous. Of course, this is also not helped by obviously Israel's war and genocide in Gaza. This isn't helped by Netanyahu and his actions and the actions of Israel and whatnot. But obviously, I've said many times on this on this show that Israel's actions are not an excuse for anti-Semitism. And if you're anti-Semite and you claim to support the Palestinians, but you're anti-Semite, I need you to pack your bags and get the fuck out. Like, you are not welcome. You should not be welcomed within the movements to support the Palestinian people. And before anyone comes at me, look, I've criticized Hamas in this stream many times. Many times I've criticized Hamas. Their targeting of Israeli civilians, the way they governed Gaza before the Gaza war, the way they alienated Palestinian Christians. All right. I don't have much love for Hamas. I mean, I get that people support them because, unfortunately, Israel's been fucking around with the Gaza Strip and the West Bank for many years. But I feel like there's better options. Even if you don't want, even if you're going to take up arms, there's better options. Like maybe even the DFLP or the DFLP is probably the least bad option essentially in that regard. So back to the content moderation stuff. Obviously, Twitter is a fucking lost cause at this point. You can drop tons of racial slurs on that site, and their mods don't give a fuck because Elon Musk fired all the decent mods and replaced them with a bunch of bootlickers and yes men. And if they were actually to enforce the rules that they had before, they'd probably have to kick off a good chunk of Trump's government from the site. Threads, Meta, aka formerly Facebook, now Meta. When they tried to explain their loosening of anti-trans moderation, moderation of anti-trans posts and whatnot, the way they explained it was, they said that if they kept up with their moderation as it was, they would have had to eventually remove posts and even ban official government accounts, especially from the U.S., especially from right-wing governments across the world, but especially from the U.S., I believe. And those aren't the exact words, but it's basically that. And I think it just speaks to how fucked up this world is, obviously, right now. It just speaks to the amount of transphobia within the within the Trump government right now, and the amount of just general queer phobia amongst LGBTQ people in general. The fact that Instagram feels the need to pull back on its moderation to protect trans people because they feel that if they don't, they'll have to start banning government accounts. And what I say to that is, well, maybe we shouldn't have governments that post shit like that. That's what I say to that. But unfortunately, we have a government that does right now. At least until 2029. At least until 2029. We're going to try our hardest to win the 2028 election so that hopefully this shit never happens again in this country. We're going to do our best. We're going to march into November 2026. We're going to retake Congress. In 2028, we're going to retake the White House through elections. Because I know some moron out there is going to fucking clip this shit and claim that I'm demanding for armed insurrection or rebellion or terrorism or whatever. No. I do not support the idea of an armed insurrection or terrorism or whatnot. We're ready to fight this on the ground, on the ballot box, with campaigning, with pressuring. We gotta be pressured, not only Republicans but also essentially chickens among our own party, the Democratic Party, who weren't fighting hard enough against the illegal shit that the Trump government's been doing. And seeing people primarying these weaker Democrats is actually really good. I never thought I'd say that it'd be good, but it's necessary now. A while back, I would have been opposed to the idea, but now I'm all in favor because I've been disappointed by some of the Democratic leadership, especially like Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer especially. Hakeem Jeffries has moments here and there, but both good and bad. Personally, I keep Hakeem Jeffries in the House, although I wouldn't make him the House leader among the House Democrat leader. I'd put him in the backbenches or whatever the American equivalent is. But Chuck Schumer, I'd kick him out. I'd kick him out of the fucking Senate. He shouldn't be there, either as Senate leader or as a backbencher among the Senate. We need a Democrat in the Senate in New York that actually is willing to stand up to Trump, not just stand idly by and just wag his finger. I'm disappointed in both my senators, Gillibrand and Schumer. More Schumer, less Gillibrand. Although I'm disappointed in Gillibrand too for not sending up hard enough, essentially. Who knows? Maybe AOC will run for Senate and try to primary them. I hope she does. I don't know about her running for president, to be honest. I want to see if there's any other candidates, I feel like. But I wouldn't mind AOC running for Senate, a Senate primary whatsoever at all. I think she should, honestly. So going back to content moderation, I don't know. I don't say this shit's fucked. I feel like the right has effectively, not so much the right, the far right has really captured, the algorithms, and it has made it so easy for people, especially young people, to fall down a pipeline. Look, I'm not here to say that PewDiePie is a Nazi or whatever. PewDiePie is not a Nazi. He's made some questionable choices and some choices I'm not. He did some things I'm not going to defend. All right, but I'm not going to defend the bridge incident. All right. That said, I wouldn't put the blame on PewDiePie or whatever. All right, I don't think he's a Nazi. I think he was just being really fucking edgy and just playing in the dark humor and whatnot. Because look, you can tell that he's not like a crypto fascist or a neo-Nazi or whatever. He's not I can't picture him going up and saying hell yes, I am PewDiePie. I support Trump and remigration. Like I can't see him doing that. All right. Speaking of remigration, if you don't know what that means, essentially it's a far right idea that essentially the government should essentially either quote unquote heavily encourage or more likely force people who are not white to move back to non-white countries. essentially, to essentially, make every country just one race, essentially. It's getting a lot more attention recently because the Trump-led Department of Homeland Security, especially a Trump-led Border Patrol and ICE, has tweeted about remigration a lot. And people are pointing out rightfully that, hey, this is a European far-right slogan used by neo-Nazis. Why is our government doing this? And it's because Trump appointed people who are just like that to run these agencies. Now, look, Trump himself, I feel like, obviously Trump is racist. He has some very racist views and whatnot. But at the same time, I just can't picture the idea that Trump is like like one of these super far right neo-Nazi guys. What I think is most likely happening is that he basically is just using these far right people in the U.S. very cynically. He's just using them to hold on to power, essentially. If one day he feels like these far right people like Stephen Miller aren't helping him hold on to power anymore, he will easily just toss them out to the wayside, like he did with many of his other former allies in his first term. Yeah, fuck Stephen Miller, dude. That guy looks fucking creepy. He's probably the worst. In my opinion, Stephen Miller is the worst person to, not just the worst, like, what's his fucking position? White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy and U.S. Homeland Security Advisor. Now, honestly, if you ask me, he's probably in American political history, American presidential history. If there's like a list of like the 10 worst people that there ever been in the White House, chiefs of staff, not being the chief staff, but just being within the White House staff, in my opinion, he'd be number one. Or maybe number 2 or 3. I don't know how bad some of the past people were, but who knows? Maybe there are some worse than Stephen Miller, but he definitely be on that top 10 list. Probably number 1, but you never know. Fuck that dude. It's a fucking piece of shit. Anyway, going back to content moderation. We gotta do something about this. We can't let these stupid conspiracy theory videos spread because it's affecting the young people, man. So they affecting the young people. Young people spouting shit like, the Holocaust didn't kill 6 million Jews; it killed 271,000. What the? And it's just like, oh my god. There were some statistics posted regarding beliefs in the Holocaust amongst the Republican Party. Let me see if I can pull it up on the PC shot. Holocaust beliefs, Republican Party. Not gonna use the Jerusalem Post because they're a little too pro Netanyahu. All right, let's pull it up because I found it was very disturbing. All right, so I can't find it right now. I cannot find it right now, unfortunately. But what was I gonna say? So the data I found was that there was a concerningly high number of Republicans who downplayed the Holocaust or didn't believe in the Holocaust. But then those numbers got extremely high when you talked to Black Republicans and Hispanic Republicans. I think it was like 77% of Black Republicans and 60-something% of Hispanic Republicans like don't believe in the Holocaust or whatever, which is fucking insane. I think almost all Republicans is like maybe like 15-20%. Fact is, like, it's 70-something% amongst Black Republicans And 60-something% amongst Hispanic Republicans is extremely bad. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck are we doing? That a majority of anyone besides like legit neo-Nazis are Holocaust deniers. What the fuck are we doing? This is shameful. This is absolutely shameful. Pisses me off. It really pisses me off. It really fucking pisses me off that we have to deal with this shit. They said back then, when they found those camps, they got to document as much as possible because one day some son of a bitch is going to claim this shit never happened. Well, that someday is now. And I feel like we need to be reminded of what happens, you know, when we let these far-right movements take control. Don't get me twisted. Some people are using the Holocaust to defend Israel and whatnot, which is fucking disgusting. That's just terrible. Being the victims of genocide don't give you the right to then commit genocide against other people. Alright? That's not how this works. No genocides are allowed. None. No genocides, no expulsions, no forced population transfers, no ethnic cleansing. No matter by who, against who. It's wrong. You know, Jews don't deserve to get kicked out of the Holy Land. Palestinians deserve to get kicked out of the Holy Land. The Holy Land belongs to the Jews and the Palestinians, in my opinion. Both groups have every right to live there. And neither of those groups should live there at the expense of the other. But unfortunately, too many people, you know, too many Israelis and too many Palestinians don't see it that way. And that's why this conflict has kept going. And that's why Israel is committing genocide in Gaza right now. Because too many people see it as a zero-sum game when there is more than enough land and there is more than enough resources for both groups to share the land. Whether it's as two states or as just one binational secular state. And that's the truth. And that's the truth about that. Anyway, let's get to Dueling Nexus. Let's get right to Dueling Nexus. Let's put the PC shot on. There we go. Alright. So I built a deck on Dueling Nexus. Let me show you the deck. I decided to... Wait. Tell me the deck is gone. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, shit, hang on. I gotta log back in, sorry. Here we go. Okay, let's put the PC shot back on. It's called Starting Fresh. It's just an Egyptian god deck, essentially. It's not a great deck, I know, but I did beat the Dueling Nexus bot pretty well. Although I didn't beat him by summoning an Egyptian god card, I beat him actually by making him deck out by stalling him with Marshmallow. Believe it or not. Yeah, actually, you know what? Let's do a quick duel against a Dueling Nexus bot. Just to show you guys the how everything works. All right, I'll go first. I'll reflect one here. Cards. I'll have to have a Reflect Slime. That nice 3,000 point wall right there. always liked the music, and I've always loved the music in Dueling Nexus. Really gets you pumped up. Alright, so we lost that, but not the end of the world. Not the end of the world at all. What can I special summon? Aha! Oh yeah. Sorry, so I'm just reading the effects. That's all. That was just a text I got from the ambulance crash. Let's see. Should I go with this? Okay, so it doesn't show up there. Okay. Yeah, you know what? Let's attack. Why not? Alright. Already ahead by 2,100 points. Alright. Ahead by 1,300 points now. Ah, shit. Well, I just lost Egyptian God Slime. Oh well. This next battle phase is gonna fucking suck. I think I spoke too soon. I'm definitely not ahead anymore.
Pow.
At this point, I'm just bringing up the disciple just uses the wall, to be honest. Still remains. Alright. I'm probably gonna lose this duel. Oh well. Oh. Yep, I'm gonna lose this duel. Just lost. Oh well. We'll do an unranked single duel against an actual person this time. Why not? Oh, a tie. Interesting. Alright, I'll go first. Good luck, have fun. Like I always do. Interesting. Oh, you banished my marshmallow on. Oh well. I don't want sound judgment because I don't want I don't want someone judging my own card because, you know, that'd be bad. That'd be stupid. I'll sound judgment that. Probably mess up the strategy just a little bit, maybe. Yeah, I'm probably gonna lose. Fuck. Actually, I'm gonna use Sound Judgment. Damn it. Wait, what the hell? No attack. What the hell's going on here? Just reading the effects. Oh, that sucks. Just gonna... Yeah, I'm just gonna disconnect. Fuck it. That was a little embarrassing. Ugh, well, that did not go so well. You know what? Why don't we go? Actually, why don't we go here and actually create another deck? Yeah, let's create an Exodia deck. Why not? Okay, yeah, get all the pieces in there. Exodia Legendary Defender, Exodia Necros, contract with Exodia, Ultimate Exodia Incarnate. Exod. I'm not gonna get Exod. I'll get this. I'll get that though. I love Obliterate. Polymerization. Get some get some of these in here, act as a wall. Card D is a classic. You gotta have that to draw. It's a great draw card. Get some greed cards in there. Pot of Greed lets me draw 2 cards. Pot of Greed lets me draw 2 cards. Pot of Greed lets me draw 2 cards. Pot of Greed lets me draw 2... Shut up. Okay, Reckless Greed. Get these fucking ads out of here. Jar of Greed. Pot of Series. Pot of Duality. Pot of Dichotomy. Pot of Generosity, why not? Help shuffle the deck. Pot of Avarice. Greed Jar, absolutely. Oh yeah, Absorbing Jar, absolutely. Let's see. I can't even use this middle effect because Slash Draw is limited to only 1. I'll do draw discharge. Why not? Looks like it'd be a little interesting. What else should I add? Oh yeah. Card destruction. Hand destruction. Dark World dealings. Honestly, I might just add a random card here just to get it to 40 at this point. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. Let's test it. Wait, what the hell? Alright, so 10 cards have been drawn in the first 3 turns. I think this is one of the deck where every card's a blue eyes just for testing purposes. That's an interesting glitch, to be honest. this case, all right, it works, I guess. Not bad. Let's save it. And let's use it in a duel. We'll go against a bot again this time. Exodia. All right, I'm going second. All right, got some options here. Ouch. It's alright though. I can still manage. Alright. So far, so good. All right. I always like to add the head last if I can, if I have the choice and stuff. All right, and we'll do a match duel. Why not? Let's do a match duel. Let's see if we have some luck with a match duel. Huh? Okay, hang on. Hold on. Let me just pull this up. Oh. Oh my god. That was embarrassing. Exodia had two Exodia had two left legs and no left arm. Oh, okay. Well, now things should be better. Come on, let's load up. Let's load up. Come on. So I should go for a single duel instead. Because honestly, I'm not getting any results of the match duel. Alright, let's go. Feeling a little more confident. Alright, so I'm going second. Other guy's going first. King Games 94 is going first. I'm going second.